Right, hello, good evening, afternoon, morning. I don't know what time it is that you're watching this video, but it's good to have you logging in and trying to find out exactly what's happening on this particular channel that you've just gotten to. My name is Ronald Muringai, and if you hadn't already heard, I'm sure you probably heard my name from somewhere, but if you hadn't, just kidding. I'm just an author, I'm a husband and father to one very beautiful daughter. And that's pretty much what really, I think, takes most of my time in my life. And I think the first book that I've written, just to kind of give you a snapshot of what that's about, is called Excellence or Nothing. Now, with this book, I wrote it at a point where I wanted to encourage people. You know, firstly, of course, I had to experience that encouragement myself before I try and tell someone else, you know, to try and increase the level of excellence, as it were. And from my experiences at work, from my experiences with the family life, from my experiences in my relationship with my wife, I kind of realized that one tends at some point in time to almost just flow in life, you know, just do what you're supposed to do, just do the bare minimum and you can make it through, you know, just do as the job description requires you to do and you just kind of flow through life. And I kind of realized that that's not fulfilling one's potential. If you think of the reasons why God put you on earth in the very first place, it kind of says to you, you have to at some point in time at least want or be able to make a difference before we put you down in the grave 6 feet under. And that really just got to me. And I think when I started to write the book then, it said, what are these precepts? What are these stories? What are the motivation potentially that we can bring to people to understand that you just don't have to move through life as if nothing matters. Everything matters, you matter, and as such, I would want for you to ensure that whatever you set your heart to do, even in the Bible it says so, you know, Colossians chapter 3, you know, whatever you set your heart to do, do it with all your heart and might. So whether it's on the job, you know, when your boss asks you to do something, when you're supposed to do something, send in a report by a certain deadline, ensure that you do everything as impeccable as possible to ensure that, you know what, when you do give in that report, it's the best possible version that you could have given, and there won't be comebacks from that to say, fix this, change that, do that one thing or the other. And even when you're in school, you know, when you're studying for examinations, I really previously had the trouble, obviously, of trying to study right before the examination. You know, I really left things late out of shoddiness, I would say, and laziness purely. But when you're trying to be excellent, what you're saying is, I'm going to give this thing my best effort. I might get a 60 out of it. I might get a 50 out of it. I might get a 70 out of it, whatever mark that I get. But what that mark that I get is the one that I absolutely deserve because I could not have given anything beyond that which I've given. Can you really say that's what you do when you write your examinations? Can you really say when you send in your assignments that you've done all the necessary research that you potentially could have done for that particular thing? That's in essence what I'm trying to say, encourage, and hopefully make you see that if you are going to live life, live it to the full, live it to the max, and ensure that most importantly, whatever you set your heart to do, you do it with a heart and an attitude of excellence. That's the first book I wrote. Now, the second book that I wrote, called Fathering Sons. Now, this one is a bit more personal of a project. In fact, I didn't intend to write this book. I was actually writing a follow-up to the book on excellence when Holy Spirit just kind of said to me, there is an issue that we need to talk about in society. And this issue is one of the relationship between fathers and sons. And when you look at it, for most part, when I ended up doing my research, I got to realize that according to the latest numbers that we have in South Africa anyway, 6 out of 10 boys, children in general, but boys specifically, are growing in households where their fathers are not there. That really got to me. As one who grew up with a single mother, you know, and seeing her struggle to make ends meet, doing 2 jobs at any point in time, and struggling to really just give us the basics, it really just got to me to say how an entire generation almost is coming up that doesn't have fathers. First, to take care of their physical needs, but most importantly, take care of their emotional and spiritual needs. And if 60% of this upcoming generation is reflective of that bad precedent, then we are setting ourselves up for really a problematic future. You don't have to look very far, actually. If you look at the prison reports that we have today, most people in prison, I think it was 72% the last time I checked, were actually people that came from houses without their fathers. If you look at the guys who are committing gender-based violence and rape, most of them did not have the authoritative father over their life who could actually teach them life's precepts and to respect a woman and how to treat other people. So We don't have to look far to the effects of fatherlessness. Within our society, every level of our society is attacked in some way by something that reflects on the fatherlessness of this generation. Now, for us to be able to fix that means we have to go back to the drawing board. What are we doing really in terms of our relationship with our children? Yes, I'm just giving you the numbers that kind of show that fathers are not there, but that does not have to be the full stop. What it says is older men, grown men, uncles, grandfathers have to step in and try and teach the young boys and try and show these young men the way. Because what we have at the end of the day is what we want at the end of the day is to ensure that, you know what, this next generation will definitely be better than us. And if we look at it from that generational perspective, then the difference can be made. We cannot make a dent today, we probably won't be able to. But tomorrow, next year, in 15 years' time, in 20 years' time, we can, if, but only if, we decide to do something about it today. So, fathers, you might be asking yourself, what is it that I can do? Uncles might be asking themselves, what is it that I can do to then make this particular difference? Spend time with the young boy. Show him the ropes. Show him what he needs to do, how he needs to connect with people, how he needs to relate with the relatives and everybody else around him, how he needs to perform in school, how he needs to treat his mother, as you treat your wife. He also sees through that. For most of the people that actually I interviewed for this book and then did a survey from, most of them said they learned the way that they should be treating a woman from their father. They learned by seeing. We know that most of our children anyway, we tell them one thing, but if we do the other thing, they probably won't listen to what they say, and they'll probably grasp onto or latch onto that which we've done instead of said. So it's absolutely important. I beseech you, brethren, that you be able to walk and look at your sons, look at your nephews, and ensure that you have time enough for them to teach them the precepts of the world. What is it that the world does? What is it that the world needs? And to teach them the precepts of spirituality as well. Who is God? What effect does he have on our lives? Should we be bothered by him at all? All these basic tenets of life must come from an elderly male authority. And it's just a sad thing. I think from the psychological report that I read actually when I was doing the research for this book, it said for boys who are growing up being taken care of by their mothers, by the time they get to the age of like 11, 12, 13, that authority that mom has over them begins to become shaky. And why is that? The boy realizes, I'm not like mom. The boy realizes physically he's not like his mother at all. And if anything and anyone should be telling him what to do, it should be then somebody who can understand his position, who looks like him, and who goes through exact emotions as he does. And that person can only be the father. So in his absence, like I say, if you are the dad, you are present, great. Please don't just take your quantity time to be enough. You have to make sure you cultivate some quality time with your boys. And I'm now speaking to those who don't have fathers, and who only realize that, I'm actually an uncle, I'm actually a grandfather, and there's people that I can take care of and I can help within society. Then it's up to you and me to say, how do we then adopt these young boys? Obviously not to stay with them, but spend an hour a week at least and just have a talk with them, a deep talk with them, a heart-to-heart as it were. Find out where they're at. What can you do to help? And ensure that, by the time this young man transitions and becomes an adult, he totally understands what he needs to be doing as a man. He totally understands himself as a man, and he can, within society, then take his place and understand the difference that he can make. So I think there's a lot we can touch on this, and there's a lot we can talk about on this. I hope, of course, you can get the books. They're available on Amazon. If you do go through that, you can find a copy of your own, get yourself an e-copy. But if you do want to get a physical copy, the traditional way, the old school way, like some of us, then get in touch with me on all the details provided there, and we can get you a copy. But otherwise, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for taking your time. It's really a privilege and honor to be able to speak to you at a time such as this. Life is busy. I definitely understand that life is full of its stuff, but for you to be then able to come and take this time and just sit with me for this 10 minutes, I really appreciate it. And I pray that you'll be able to do the things that God has set you to do. God bless you. Hope to see you.